Welcome to the Level Up Lounge, where we talk about everything games related and stating my opinion on games with you. I'm your host Nikeie, also known as Annika, and we're talking through the lens of a game design and development student, which I am. And today we're gonna talk about amusement parks. Amusement parks and video games actually have a lot in common, since they both have the goal to create a feeling of fun in you and want to keep you excited throughout your whole trip. They both use quite the same techniques and game design techniques. That's pretty much the word. And that's what we're gonna talk about today. So let's dive right in. This is Disneyland Paris, and this is Lego Harry Potter. But what do they have in common? For starters, their map layout. Disneyland and Lego Harry Potter are both hub worlds. But what does that mean? So a hub world is a world where you have a central place, called the hub, where you always pivot back to and from which you can enter all the levels. It's the only place where all the levels meet. In Lego Harry Potter, this hub world, or this hub, is Hogwarts itself, from which you enter all the levels and get back to once you finished a level. I think we all know that Disney really likes the Cinderella Castle and really likes to pivot people's attention towards it. I mean, it's literally part of their logo and the main attraction during their ending parades. And if we have a look at the map for Disneyland Paris, we can see that the Cinderella Castle is pretty much at the center of the map, and all the other worlds are just mapped out around it. And even though the worlds itself are always connected to the one next to it, the only place from which you can enter all of the areas is from the Cinderella Castle. This obviously also doesn't mean that all amusement parks are hub worlds, but pretty much all amusement parks do have one thing in common, and that is their entrance area. In case of Disneyland or the other Disney parks in general, we have Main Street USA, which you walk through as soon as you enter the park. In Europa Park, we have Germany as the entrance area, and at the Universal's Island of Adventures, there is the port of entry. I know, that is a very, very, creative way to call your entry area. Whatever! Now back to the point. All those areas have in common that they are a rather long road that is actually going straight, nothing really more, and there are no rides in it. There are only shops, merchandise, and maybe a few restaurants. I mean, yes, Europa Park did add the Voletarium in 2017 to Germany, but that is such a light ride. It's like nothing too exciting. It still counts. So yeah, only merchandise and restaurants, no rides. The Voletarium doesn't count. And this kind of is like a tutorial that is preparing us for the adventure that awaits us after we went through that area. While it's obviously also leading us to buy merchandise and stuff like that, both while coming and going. In game design, we tend to use the 8 kinds of fun. Those 8 kinds of fun are sensation, fantasy, narrative, challenge, fellowship, discovery, expression, and submission. Which amusement park would you rather visit? This or this? I'm pretty sure the most of you will choose number 2. This is because it triggers your senses, even if you haven't been to an amusement park. But especially if you have been to one before, you already know what it's like, and just seeing those pictures will trigger your senses. You can already imagine what it must be like to be there. It looks interesting and engaging, and it fits the theme of the park. Whatever part of the theme park you're in has associated music playing or even smell. For example, in Europa Park there is a ride, the Dino ride, maybe you know it, that uses chocolate cake smell at some point. And really, really strong chocolate cake smell. I always want to eat cake after that. And even the parks trigger all of your emotions. Your smell buds, your ears, your eyes. There has been a really good video about that. It's a German video from AlexiBexis if you want to watch it. I'm gonna link it below. This is also kind of what inspired me to do this video, so check it out if you understand German. In case of fantasy, the goal of most video games is to transport you into another world than you own. They want to give you a break from your daily life and your daily life issues. This is also very much the goal of every amusement park. If theme park or not is not that important, but theme parks even more. I mean, Disney transports you into the world of Pirates of the Caribbean or Ratatouille, whatever. Every Disney franchise, it's going to transport you there and tries to engage you so much that you don't even think about what's going on outside of the park. It wants to make you forget everything else than the moment right now, just like video games. Every theme park tells you several narratives. Some are more obvious, like the ones in Disney Park, and some more subtle. Disney probably has the most easy time telling stories because they work with already existing franchises that already have fans and already have a story going on. They just need to build around that. But they also put a lot of effort in creating stories for their ending shows and parades, while they are definitely not the only ones to do so. One technique that is frequently used in theme parks to tell stories is environmental storytelling, aka you're not telling a story verbally, but rather through little clues that you hide here and there, something written on the wall, or blood splattered on the ground. Even though that won't be a thing in amusement parks, but you get what I mean. A video game series that is really strong in environmental storytelling is the BioShock series, which I'm gonna make a separate video about. I'm not going too much into depth about that. Theme parks that aren't created on already existing stories also tend to create some later in the process. A good example for this is Europa Park, with several movies, books, games based on their mascots and rides. But Disney has also done the same with a few rides of theirs. For example, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Look what I got! I got a jar of dirt, I got a jar of dirt, and guess what's inside it?
The Haunted Mansion, Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, and a few more. So this is a very frequent thing to happen. Can you handle that scary ride? Is the haunted house too haunted for you? Or can you beat the high score? Or at least the person you're with in this interactive ride? Theme parks give you quite a few options to rise up to a challenge, like Ratatouille in Disneyland Paris or Atlantis in Europa Park. Even though challenge is not that big of a focus point of amusement parks than it is for video games, where it is a very important point, especially depending on the genre. A genre that is very heavily leaning into the challenge part is Souls-like. Well, as for the fellowship part, I don't know. There's, I think, not too much to say. Because I guess most of people don't go alone. I have never been to an amusement park alone. It's always like a together experience. I mean, you can go alone. No judging about that, but from the people I know, they always go with somebody. Also, especially at parks like the Disney parks, you're surrounded by people that have the same passion as you have, which also creates a sort of fellowship on its own. When it's your first time at a theme park, there is a lot of stuff that needs to be explored and discovered. How does everything look like? Can I find all the hidden details? At your first visit, probably not. What rides do I like? What's the best food around? A one-day trip is usually not enough to discover everything in a park. Like back in the days, when my family and I went to Europa Park, we didn't get to see the shows because we wanted to focus on being able to ride everything we wanted to. But one year we had a ticket for the whole year, so we could go on days with bad weather or just for one day. Just like, okay, why not? We don't have to ride everything, we can also just watch the shows. And I have to say, those are very interesting shows that are absolutely watch-worthy. So there's just so much to discover that also makes you want to come back every time, over and over again. Besides of that, theme parks also encourage you to come back over and over again through their decorations and parades. Both are always drastically changing throughout the season. For example, Europa Park always has very interesting decorations during Christmas. I'm not sure if Easter, maybe Easter too, but not too much. But especially, yeah, like I said, Christmas and Halloween. These are really, really big times at Europa Park. And even if you have been there in every season, you have seen the shows, you have ridden every ride there is by now. They will find a way to make you come back. Usually around the time they open up new worlds or countries, a new theme section. Yeah, when they open a new theme section, you probably want to come back. It worked for me. By the way, something really special about Disney parks is that they always hide little Mickey Mouse heads all around the park that are so hidden that you wouldn't even see them if you're not paying attention. So maybe the next time you're at the Disney park, try to find every hidden Mickey you can find. All those little headbands and other merchandise you can buy at the parks are a way to express yourself, or at least they invite you to do so. Through the merch you bought at, let's say, Disney, people can see what you like. Are you someone who likes Disney princesses? Or Spider-Man? Or do you like Monsters Inc? Do you want to keep it classic with the Mickey Mouse ears? Or do you rather want to go a bit more extravagant and bold? All things that can be seen through your expression through the merch you're wearing. And this also, by the way, really helps with the fantasy part. Through all of the above, the providers of the parks are making sure, or they try to make sure, that you want to come back and back and back again and back again, back. You know, it goes on for long. You just want to come back? Yes. And another part of the submission is how willing you are to spend money. And you can be sure they remind you on every occasion to spend money. Always. Like they are sprinkling their merch stores everywhere throughout the parks. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but they are there. So if you didn't decide at the beginning to buy a merch, maybe you want to buy it now. Come on. Like, it's right there. You can buy it. Or even if you've been strong throughout the whole time. Like I told you, the entrance area, which is also the leaving area, that only consists out of stores. A lot of merchandise, you know, you haven't been buying at the beginning or throughout the whole thing. But come on. Now before you're leaving, you can buy. Don't be like that. Just buy something. But even if it's not merch stores, it could be those little ice cream stores or food stores that are just sprinkled throughout the whole park. And they just make sure that everything you could need at any occasion is near you. No matter you are in the park, you will find anything you want somewhere near you. All those stores are just strategically. All the stores are just really strategically. All the stores are just really strategically placed throughout the park. You will be reminded to spend your money. Like in video games, the user experience is really important in amusement parks. The user, aka the visitor, needs to have the most pleasant experience ever during the visit in the park. Part of this is, for example, that horses that are occasionally riding through the parks need to wear little bags that catches their poop, because no visitor wants to be stepping on poop somewhere. or even just see that poop lying around. Therefore, the horses will not have their poop be falling on the ground. It'll be catched in the bag. Or the accessibility. I have to say that from all the theme parks I have been to, Disneyland Paris was the most accessible one, with its own little queue lines for people that can't go through those concorded, long waiting lines. But those very concorded queue lines are also made as efficient and as enjoyable as possible through, yep, correctly, environmental storytelling, which is also part of your experience. And like I told you before in the submission part, that the fact that whenever you want to buy something, it's there, also part of your user experience. And there are obviously a lot more things that are playing into the user experience of amusement parks, but that is what I could think of on the spot. If you have more, just drop it in the comments. I hope this video gave you a good overview on the similarities of video games and amusement parks. I focused a lot on Disneyland Paris and Europa Park because they are the ones from the ones I've been to that stuck in my head the most. But if you have any examples for other amusement parks I haven't been talking about, I would love to hear from you about it. I'm really curious about your experiences and opinions. If you like this video, consider leaving a like and subscribe to not miss any further videos. If you like this video, consider leaving a like and subscribe to not miss any further videos. And if there's any specific topic you would like me to talk about, just leave it in the comments down below. So, until we see each other again at the Level Up Lounge,